My name is Ed DeVeaux. I'm the president of the New Jersey CannaBusiness Association. We're the state's first and largest trade association, and we were founded to help the state develop a responsible, sustainable, diverse, and profitable cannabis industry. I'd like to thank our sponsors of the Lunch and Learn, Burton, Trent Public Affairs, Inglesino, Webster, Wyciskala, and Taylor, attorneys, Curaleaf, a licensed medical cannabis company here in New Jersey, Puffin, entrepreneurs and investors, Weeds Direct, HBK CPAs, Argus 365 security company, Eaze, the UFCW, and Hugh Giordano, and Garden State Greenhouse. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled Lunch and Learn, where many of our corporate sponsors are able to come and share a bit about their companies and what they do and why they are important to us in the cannabis industry. So I am very pleased this Friday at this Lunch and Learn to have Max Meade with me, and I'm going to let Max introduce himself and his company momentarily. But first, as I always try to do, I try to come to you from one of our friends, our sponsor restaurants, and I am pleased to let you know that today I am coming to you live from Gargiulo's, 720 Tinton Avenue in Tinton Falls, where I grew up. So Gargiulo's, I kid you not, if you are an hour away, you've got to come here. There's a Gargiulo's in Coney Island, beautiful restaurant, beautiful catering facility. But here in Tinton Falls, the restaurant is located in the historic Crawford House. I actually went to school with some Crawfords here in Tinton Falls. So everyone, please, when you get a chance, check out Gargiulo's. The food here is excellent. I want to thank Nino. I want to thank Teresa, who you just saw a little bit earlier. I want to thank Daryl, the chef, for being here today. He does an excellent job. We love Gargiulo's. So just want to thank them for allowing me to do today's Lunch and Learn from their restaurant. So without further ado, today's topic, critical to the industry, is insurance. We do have some other insurance companies that are part of our membership. Max, today is a special day as you and your company have stepped in. And so, Max, I want to turn it over to you to introduce yourself and your company.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate the association as a whole. You guys have been awesome. It's been very cool seeing you guys grow, seeing these continue to go on, and just helping everyone in the industry here in Jersey and probably other states just get this information because it's so important and to continue progressing in the industry. As you said, though, my name is Max Meade. I'm with Brown & Brown. I'm right in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, so right in South Jersey. We are a national insurance brokerage firm all across the country. Offices, I think we have over 200 offices all over. I have been here now for 4+ years, Temple University graduate, so right in the city, cross the bridge and come here now. Love what I do day in, day out. We insure businesses of all different industries. So as a brokerage, we help different companies find the right insurance program, get the right carriers that fit them the best, help with any risk management, insurance, mitigation, claim questions that may come up. It's been an extremely rewarding position, and being able to work with cannabis and the business owners in the industry has been awesome. As everyone knows, it's an extremely unique industry, right? Everyone's kind of was learning as you go in some industries. So I have luckily been able to do this now for 4 years. I've been working with cannabis companies across the country. So obviously starting a bit more out west where things have been picked up a little bit more, but it's been amazing seeing the East Coast continue to progress, continue to almost catch up to the West, becoming its own industry here with New Jersey now progressing, New York behind them, all the other states now implementing their own programs. So it's been awesome. So on my end, what I do is I help cannabis companies, number one, understand insurance, the importance of it, like you said, Ed, where it comes into play, the different exposures we help to mitigate with insurance, breaking down the timeline, right, whether they're applying and helping them understand the different times when insurance will come into play, whether they're leasing or owning a building, when they hire that first employee, when they start bringing on that property, that equipment, help them understand that timeline. And then also I'm here to really help them from a risk management perspective, right? It's not just insurance, it's helping with contracts, employee questions, anything that we can help. We will jump in and provide any advice that we can. With how new this industry is, we want to be, in a sense, that outsourced risk manager for everyone, right? Where they can utilize us for any of those questions to make sure they're doing the things the right way, acting proactively, and just making sure they're themselves, clients, suppliers, employees are all protected too as they build up their business and continue to expand, grow, kind of whatever their business plan is.
That's great. And thank you so much, Max, for that introduction. You know, again, as I mentioned, we do have a number of insurance firms that are members of the association, and we thank you all for your membership. So look, you told us the why, right? It's a critical part of just protecting you, your business, protecting your assets. Maybe a little more on the why, but then how? How do we choose an insurance company? How do we sign up? I'll tell you, banking and insurance, two huge issues. You know, and I think it's been a fallacy that, oh, gee, I can't get banking. Well, we know for a fact that one of our sponsors, in fact, they sit on our board, BCB, Bayonne Community Bank, they do banking. People say insurance, I can't get insurance, or there's no such thing. And I'm saying to myself, are you kidding? There's thousands of businesses out there in the cannabis industry. They must be getting insurance somehow. So tell us, what's the how?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and it's very interesting because when I first started doing this about 4 years ago, that was a lot of the conversation was like, I didn't even know this kind of insurance existed, right? And that was people who were operating. So it's progressed a lot. The how, I mean, it's unique, right? At the end of the day, there's insurance agencies all over New Jersey, all over the country. The big thing to look into, especially in this industry, is finding those companies who have that experience, who've done this before, right? So you see some of them, like you said, there's other parts of the association that operate in the same field. So it's just making sure you're comfortable. I always recommend finding that agency that you feel the most comfortable with, that you trust, because when you can, the whole goal is we want to become part of almost your company from an outside perspective, right? We want you to think of us as part of your team. So to do that, we want to be as involved with your business as we possibly can. And that starts from as early as possible, right? A lot of times insurance might be the last thing, the last checkbox to get. The earlier we get brought in, the more we can help provide any advice, recommendations, tips, tricks that we've learned in the past. And more to the why, right? As the industry continues to progress, insurance is becoming much more mandated, right? Certain states who have programs, some of them have different insurance requirements where the city itself needs to be listed. If you're leasing a building, you need insurance right off the bat there, right? So contracts you'll need, there's a lot more board members, a lot more directors, officers who are looking to join these companies, and they're starting to want certain insurance coverages to protect themselves. So it's becoming much more required depending on the business, right? And at the end of the day, we're here to really just help you understand that and help put the game plan together, put the right insurance program together. The industry is still a little newer compared to other industries, right? So there's a limited amount of insurance carriers, but how we operate is we make sure we match you with the best one. Whether that's getting options from 3 or 4, showing you them side by side, and we have a conversation of which one's the best. Maybe your operations is very specific and there's one really good insurance carrier, but we have that conversation. Our goal is that you are part of the process, right? We want you to be involved. We need the business owner to be involved because we need the information. Where we don't know it, we need them to help us understand what they're doing, where they're operating, how many employees. All of those pieces of information help us understand what we need to do to protect what you're doing day in and day out.
Right. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned this because I did see a question in the chat. A lot of folks, especially if you're just getting into business, right? Never mind the cannabis industry. If you were just getting into business, there are different types of insurance out there. So I'm sure as a carrier, you've got to explain to people the different types of insurance. So there is, in fact, directors and officers, right? D&O. And I saw somebody ask that. There's D&O insurance. There's flood. There's fire. I know that there's a litany, but for the benefit of our audience, if you want to talk about a couple of those different types of insurance, look, D&O is not about physical plant, but it's an important aspect of the business. So if you want to, run down a couple of the different types of insurance that are out there between D&O, fire, flood, and so on.
Definitely, and you're hitting. It's like you can be in my seat, Ed, if you want. We can switch. But yeah, D&O you hit on, that is becoming again much more required by some investors, by some individuals who are joining these teams. That's protecting those directors and officers and the company itself, right? If anyone were to claim you made the wrong decision, try to recoup, that is protecting them personally and the company. You hit on fire, flood, right? Fire is tied into property coverage, which includes inventory, equipment, right? Depending on your operation, testing labs, right? A lot of high-end valuable equipment. You need to make sure that's insured properly. Those cultivators, right? They have crops growing in different stages throughout that cycle. We help them ensure the different stages that progresses as well, on top of all the equipment they have in there as well, right? Workers' compensation is one that most people probably know of. As soon as you hire that first employee, we can help you get that coverage because that's a state requirement. Products liability, probably one of the most unique ones in the space, right? That's that insurance against the actual product. If somebody claimed X, Y, or Z, they got sick, something happened due to the actual product. That's a very unique one, very tied to the cannabis space. You have cyber liability, right? That's protecting all that information that these companies are storing, whether it's employees, customers, suppliers, anything that they're holding in their own infrastructure or even their website if they collect payments, any of those kind of dynamics. That is a new exposure to that we're really trying to push and have these guys understand the importance of. There's so many, but again, that's where my ultimate, when I speak to a group, whether it's a current operating company or a new applicant like the ones right now looking to apply in New Jersey, we go through all these, right? We have them. My goal is I want the owner to understand by the end of the call, they have a comfortability around insurance. They know the different coverages that they could need. And I know that budget, I know that there's a lot of money tied up as you go. So I like to work with them as you need, right? Again, normally the lease is first, you need liability coverage, but you don't need some of the other ones until you're operating. So I help that timeline too, and we can space that out, help guide you through of you sign a lease January, first employee March, you open the store in May, right? Time out what you're gonna need. So number one, you're not paying more, but number two, you understand what's coming down the road. And when you do X, we're gonna need Y in terms of an insurance policy to help mitigate the risk that comes with that.
Right. So it's interesting, and I know you just touched on it, but just for clarification, even though cannabis is illegal at the federal level, you still insure the product. You still insure the plants, not only the plants, but the equipment that's used either in cultivation or processing. Is that true?
Yep, 100%. So all the insurance carriers we go to, they are set up to handle cannabis companies. Everyone through the proper procedures, compliance measures that everyone can do this the right way, even with the federal or state rules. It's something we're able to do. And the carriers, again, they've all been created to handle and help the cannabis space. So it's been very, again, being able to do this now, to see the carriers, number one, grow, progress, offer new coverages, see more carriers come into the space, see some of the federal bills right now that would really change the landscape too from the insurance world as well. I love it because again, it's just seeing improvements and to help the business owners continue to improve this side of things, right? The Claim Act is the one that's in right now that's clarifying laws around insuring marijuana. If that went, I'm a when guy, so when that passes, that's going to change the insurance landscape, right? It's going to open it up to more insurance carriers to come in, offer coverage, which all that's going to do is help drive down the price and help improve the overall coverage that these businesses need and will be able to secure.
That's great. That's great, Max. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go a little bit left field on this one.
Love it.
But it's, and I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking it. So I know there are some of you out there that are thinking this. We talk about product liability, but and that's in terms of the product safety. Let's go left field. What happens if you get the child that eats an edible? What happens if you have the senior citizen who's mistaking the Girl Scout cookie for the edible cookie, right? We all know, in fact, everyone in the cannabis industry, we all know that, look, a child gets a regulated, purchased from a dispensary, ingestible, they feel funny, they go to an emergency room. We know that, look, they get water, they get some sleep, and they go home. Is this something that that people in the industry should talk to you about? Is that so far left field, or is it a reasonable assumption and a reasonable risk that they may have to insure against?
No, it's a great question. And yeah, it's unique, right? Because it's so subjective person to person. Right now, it's all really, we go through the process, detail as much as you can, make sure the packaging is childproof, and go through the details of what happened, how it happened, right? And then it's a conversation with us, the company, the insurance carrier, to kind of work through and figure out the path forward. But at the end of the day, all those things, the importance of product liability, right? It's there to also help defend, right? So it's going to help protect you guys, because a lot of times too, those could maybe be fraudulent. That's what some of the insurance has really helped to defend these companies from those. Because the unfortunate part is the world has changed, right? It's went from, if an employee versus employer, it used to be employee need to prove, now it's employer needs to prove it didn't happen, right? And it's more employment practices liability is the one you think about. That's employee versus employer kind of discrimination, harassment, unfair termination, failure to promote. If you think of it there, where an employee could easily have a meeting with their boss, got upset due to maybe something, they didn't get the promotion they wanted, whatever happened. I say, you know what? He didn't promote me because of X, Y, or Z, my ethnicity, my race, my sexual orientation. It could be false, but if you don't have the right insurance, you're on the hook to defend that yourself. And I think we did an example in New Jersey alone on that kind of case. That could be $40,000 to $50,000 in costs just to prove that it's false, right? So if you don't have insurance, that's coming out of your business, and nothing would make a business owner, or even if I pitched in that seat, to spend money on something you know is not true and just waste the time, the money, the effort to fight that off, right? So a lot of insurance is there to help these businesses defend it and have them as on their team to help them through that process.
That's great, Max. Thank you for that answer. Again, I encourage our guests, as you're here, use the chat feature. Put in your contact information, throw some questions. We'll try to get to those questions. So in New Jersey, as with other states, right, we try to create opportunities for not only big businesses, but clearly we want to create opportunity for the entrepreneurs, the small to mid-sized businesses. Clearly, we've created paths for social equity, for minority clients, for communities, for individuals that have been historically disadvantaged by the war on drugs. So as we look at size of business, essentially we're saying there is no difference whether you are going for a conventional license or whether you're going for a micro license, big or small. You need insurance, and you should probably be looking at and having these conversations about all the different types, because whether you've got 100 employees or 10 on the micro license side, something could happen, whether it's 100 or whether it's 10, and you're going to need insurance.
Yeah, and again, like you said, I've spoken to a lot of groups who are looking to apply, and it's again just having that conversation up front. As a lot of people probably saw in the guidelines, right, there is that stipulation that you need to show the plan of which you're going to secure liability coverage for your business, right? We've been helping groups check that box off by providing them with a letter that they can implement into their application that gives them that breakdown, right? Who they're going to work with, the different coverage that they could need. Again, insurance shouldn't be thought of as checking the box, because it's not like a quick, hey, Max, need insurance today, cool, 10 minutes later we have insurance. This is a conversation. We need information. I saw someone put in the chat about how you go about it, right? We need building information, square footage, construction type, with employees for workers' company, payroll estimates, revenue estimates, property values, right? There's a lot of information that goes into getting an insurance quote. So the earlier you loop myself in, the better we are off, because we'll have more time to game plan it out, right? A lot of the groups, the ultimate goal is we're going to have a shell policy ready for them. So if and when they win, it's, hey, Max, can we do the insurance quote we have ready today, tomorrow, boom, we're done, versus we win, how do we get insurance now, right? You want to make sure that's ready to go, because to get your lease sufficed, to get certain contracts into compliance, you need insurance, right? So having me involved, I'm reviewing leases for people now because there's insurance wording in there as well. that if it's not set up properly, you're not going to be in compliance. So again, I always recommend all services like myself, the earlier you can loop us in, the better off, because we can help and provide any advice, knowledge that we went through to feed to you, right? That's what we want to do. We want to make their process as seamless as possible and take as much of what we do off of their plate.
That's great. Thank you for that, Max. Saw a question, the fact that once again, we're always conscious about what differences there are in the cannabis industry versus other businesses. So cannabis is more of a cash business, cash on hand, cash that has to be transported from facility to bank. Does that affect premiums? The fact that a cannabis business is more of a cash business, and this is probably really only for, or mostly for dispensaries.
Yeah, and again, it's a conversation with each operation, because everyone's different. But now again, there's step coverage. I have some clients who now do the third-party operation, right, where they sub out that piece. They're not on their own to do it. So now you're talking about helping them make sure that transportation company has the proper insurance for them. So again, it's a conversation. It's making sure that just the right procedures are in place to make sure that the business is protected, whether again, it's making sure the other company they work with is insured, or providing them with the right insurance of the different limits they need, the different levels of cash, all those different details we talk through, and make sure again that policy is set to respond appropriately to that.
Right. And you know, and that leads to the question, because this is always regardless of the industry, regardless of the task, there's always the question, how much, right? And I think it's an important one, because we are working with potential applicants who are starting businesses, maybe not for the first time, maybe it is for the first time, but people are going to start budgeting as we prepare for the launch of this new industry. Ballpark, what should people be thinking about, especially if I'm a micro license, if I'm a social equity applicant? You know, what should I be putting in the back of my mind? What should I be putting on my budget spreadsheet when I start to put things together? Insurance, that line item, how much?
It's so hard, right, because like we talked about, it's all dependent on the details of the operation, right? What are you projecting revenue-wise? How big is your facility? How big is your retail location? What is the payroll estimate looking like, right? All those are how the insurance premiums are dictated. As a lot of people know, the insurance costs are higher than other industries, but again, because there's more carriers coming in, it has driven down since I started, and it's going to continue doing that with more carriers coming in. Again, if that claim act gets passed, then standard insurance carriers that we all know can start offering coverage will drive down even more. So really, I mean, I've had companies who are starting up, depending on what they do, you could do 5,000 to 10,000, but I have clients also in the hundreds of thousands for insurance, right? It's all dictated upon what you do, how much business you're doing, how many stores you have, all the different, right? You could have vehicles, you might not have vehicles. It's truly dependent on the company. But again, I've been helping applicants and others just help with the budgeting, because that's more of us getting on a call, 20-30-minute conversation, going through what you're estimating, what you're thinking about, and then I can give you a rough ballpark of what the budget is as you're putting those pro formas, putting those budgets together. But again, it's tough, right? Because it's so business to business to generally say it costs X amount. It's hard, because I don't want to give the wrong impression. But again, I will talk to anyone and everyone to help them with any piece that I can help with. From my experience, it's something I do day in, day out. So that's a piece I've been doing, just because, again, it is very individualized by the business.
Right, right. So look, I'm going to maybe, again, don't know, and hopefully we're all learning together. When you get health insurance, you typically have to take a physical. You have to, you've got to give some medical history. Is there a quote unquote background check when people go for insurance? What type of history will people have to divulge when they come to you for insurance?
Yeah, so a lot of the carriers, depending on the operation, they like to see resumes, right? Just to see what experience they have either in the cannabis industry or as a business owner in general. And it's just good to know too, because then it helps just the carrier understand what they've done in the past. But really, that's the majority from a background standpoint. But again, how it goes through, there's an application we need. So that's going to gather a lot of the details, a lot of the information, the business. They've had insurance, they've been operating, their past insurance history, right? Again, all that goes into the overall underwriting process for each business. So it does come into play because, again, as the industry continues to progress, the carriers want to know they're working with established business owners who either, again, ran a business, have experience in the industry, but again, I work with people who didn't, and they've been a great business, and it's just talking with the insurance carrier about that, right? It's a conversation, and that's what we're here, and we're going to advocate for that business owner every time to make sure that we're helping them get what they need.
That's great. Well, Max, tell you what, take a moment, jump into the chat feature, click to everyone. And if you could please put your contact information. I know that there are other people that have been putting their information in the chat. Take a moment to do that. And while you're doing that, I once again want to thank my Lunch and Learn hosts, Gargiulos. Love the folks here, love the family. Nino, the patron, want to thank you for allowing me to be here. Teresa, thank you so much for showing up. And yeah, you can make me a drink when I'm done. Want to thank Chef Daryl. Chef Daryl here at Gargiulos, top notch. I got to tell you, he's excellent. Gargiulos in Tinton Falls, 720 Tinton Avenue in Tinton Falls, where I grew up. Hey, go Falcons. Go Falcons. Monmouth Regional, want to shout out to my alma mater, Monmouth Regional Golden Falcons. Want to thank you all for attending today's Lunch and Learn. Before we turn it over to Max for closing remarks, once again, I want to thank our sponsors. That's Burton Trent Public Affairs, the law firm of Inglesino, Webster, Wyciskala, and Taylor, Curaleaf, current license holder in the medical marijuana field here in New Jersey, Puffin, entrepreneurs and investors, Weeds Direct, welcome to our sponsorship, HBK CPAs, Argus 365 Security Company, Eaze, the UFCW, Hugh Giordano, love you, man. Thanks for all of your support, and Garden State Greenhouse. So, Max, as we come to a close of our Lunch and Learn, any final thoughts, anything you want to share?
Again, I just want to say thank you, Ed. Thank you, the entire association. Again, these have been awesome. I am extremely humbled to be able to do this, right? I mean, when I grew up in Lancaster County, this was never a thought of what I'd be doing, and being able to do this, being able to do what I've been doing and have New Jersey and you guys here and helping to support the industry has been amazing. For anyone on here, I passed my contact in there. Please reach out. I'll also be at the event next week in Jersey. So if anyone will be there too, I'd love to connect when we're there as well. And I'll be down in Meade as well in October in Atlantic City. So again, all these events, please, if we can't connect on phone or email, please, if you see me, grab me. Love to have a conversation, grab food or drink, whatever it is. Because again, just like Ed, we're here to help have the conversation, just provide you any knowledge or insight that we can to just make sure you're informed and answer any questions you may have on what we do.